Hi everybody, welcome to Live Blogger. I have combined all the videos in our FAQ accordion design series into the single long video so that it's easy for you to follow. Now in this video, we're basically going to create this design right here using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And in the end, I will also show you how to add this custom FAQ accordion to your Blogger and your WordPress websites. And I will also leave the link of the source code in the description of this video. So let's get started. In this video, we will start creating this FAQ section using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So first of all, let me show you a demo. So here we have these questions, and if I click on any of these questions, we have the answer to that question displayed over here. And we also have this animation for this arrow. And if I click on the other question, then the first question is collapsed and we have the expanded form of the second question. And in this way, we can go ahead and click on these questions to view the answers. So this is what we're going to design in this video. Let's get started. Right here, I have created this folder called FAQ Accordion, and I just opened it with VS Code. Now in this video, we're going to just create this UI, and in the next video, we will create the functionality using JavaScript. So let's go back over here and let's create the necessary file. So let's click on new file and let's create an HTML file. I just name it index.html. And let's create a new file and let's name it style.css. And we need to have one more file, which is a JavaScript file. I just name it main.js. Alright, let's start with the index.html file. And in VS Code, you have the shortcut where you can just press exclamation and press tab. And you will have this basic HTML5 code. Right here in the head section, let's link our CSS file. And here in the body, I'll just link the JavaScript file. Right now, let's start with the markup of our FAQ accordion. So first of all, let's create an h2 and let's give it a class of FAQ heading. And here let's type frequently asked questions. Right now, let's open this in our browser and let's see how it looks. So I have this extension called Live Server installed in VS Code. So once you have this installed, you can just right click in the HTML file and click on Open with Live Server. And here we can see that our design is displayed in the browser. Now let's go back and let's continue writing the HTML. So for the FAQ accordion, we'll create a container division. And let's give it a class of FAQ container. And in this for the question, we'll create a division with the class of question container. So let's tap question container. And in that for the question, we'll create a division with the class of question. So let's tap question, and here we will add the question. So I'll just copy this question from here and I'll just paste it over here. Now here we can see in the question we also have this icon on the right side. So let's add the icon inside this question division. So I'll just create a span for the icon, and let's give it a class, and let's set the class to question icon. And in this span we will add the icon. So I'll just get the icon from heroicons.com. Right here I'm in heroicons.com, and let's search for the icon. So we have this arrow. So for that I'll just type chevron. So here we have these arrows and we need to have this down arrow. So let's click on copy SVG. Let's go back and paste it inside this span. Right now if we go back to the browser, here we can see we have the arrow, and the next thing we need to have is the answer. So for that, let's go outside this question division. And let's create a division with the class of answer container. And in this we will have the answer. Now for the answer, let's create a division with the class of answer. And in this we will add the answer. So before the answer, we need to have this icon. So for that, let's create a span and let's give it a class of answer icon. And let's go back to heroicons.com and let's get this icon right here. So we need to have this check icon. So here let's type check. Let's go to the mini version and let's copy this icon right here. So let's click on copy SVG and let's go back and let's paste it over here inside this span. And after this span, we need to add the answer. So let's go back over here and I'll just copy this from here and let's paste it over here. So this is going to be the answer. So we need to have 3 of these answer divisions over here. So I'll just copy this answer division from here and I'll just paste it 2 more times. And let's go ahead and change the content. So I'll just copy this and let's paste it over here. And let's go back and copy this. And let's paste it over here. Now in the next video, I'll show you how to make all of this easier by adding all this content to our JavaScript file. But for now, we'll just do it this way so that we can style it. And now let's go ahead and copy this question container. And let's paste it 1 more time so that we have 2 questions to work with. Right now, let's go back to our browser, and here we can see that all the elements are displayed over here. Now let's start with writing the CSS. Let's go back to the style.css file, and first of all, let's target the h2. So here we have this h2 for the heading. So I'll just type h2, and we have a class. So we have this class of FAQ heading. So just type FAQ heading. We'll set the font family to Inter and sans serif, and let's get the link of this Inter font from Google Fonts. So let's go back to our browser and let's go to Google Fonts. Right here I'm in fonts.google.com, and let's search for Inter. And here we have the font. So let's click on the font and let's select the styles that we need. So we need to have this light version for this heading. So I'll just select light 300, and we also need to have the bold version. So I'll just select bold 700, and let's click on this button called view selected families, and let's copy the link. So I'll just copy this link of the CSS file. So let's click on import, and let's copy this code from here, and let's go back and let's paste it above our CSS. Right now, let's go ahead and continue styling this heading. So we need to set it to the center. So let's type text align center, and let's also set the font weight to 300, and let's set the font size to 28 pixels, and we'll set the color of the text to 1D3557, and let's also add a margin. So I'll just type margin, and let's set the margin to 8 pixels top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. And we will add some margin top for this. So I'll just type margin top, and let's set the margin top to 60 pixels, and I think that looks alright. Right now, let's go ahead and style the FAQ container. So we have this main division with a class of FAQ container. So I'll just type .faq container, and for this we will set the max width to 600 pixels, and we will set a border radius of 8 pixels, and let's also add box shadow, and let's set the value to 0, 4 pixels, 50 pixels, negative 8 pixels RGBA, 0, 0, 0 and 0.3, and we'll also bring it to the center. So I'll just type margin, and for top and bottom I'll just type 32 pixels, and for left and right I'll just type auto. And for this also we'll set the font family to Inter and sans serif, and let's set the color of all the text to 1D3557, and we'll also set the line height to 1.9. Right now, let's style the question. So here we can see for the question we have this division with the class of question. So here I'll just type FAQ container question, and for the question we need to set the display to flex so that the question is on the left side and the icon on the right side. Now for the question we will set the display to flex so that the question is on the left side and the icon on the right side. So let's type display of flex. Now we can see that the icon is not being displayed, so let's go ahead and type FAQ container question icon, and here we can see we have this icon with the class of question icon. So let's go ahead and set a width, and let's set it to 20 pixels. And now we can see that the icon is being displayed over here. Now we want this icon to be displayed on the right side. So what we will do is here in the question division, let's set justify content to space between. Now we can see that the question is on the left side and the arrow on the right side. Now let's go ahead and add a long question. So here I just add some random text, and let's go ahead and set a gap between these two elements. So here let's tap gap, and let's set the gap to 32 pixels. Right now let's set the font size of this question, and let's set it to 18 pixels, and we'll set the font weight to bold. And now let's set a padding. So I'll just tap padding, and let's set the padding to 16 pixels and 24 pixels. And let's set the cursor to pointer. So I'll just tap cursor pointer. Now when we hover over this, we have this pointer. Right now let's go ahead and delete this extra text over here. So here we have this question, and here we have this arrow. Now let's go ahead and style this. So let's go back and let's go to the CSS file, and here for the question icon, let's add a background color, and let's set it to gray color. And now let's go ahead and set a padding of 4 pixels, and let's set the border radius to 50% so that we have round shape. And now we can see that it is not exactly round, so for that we have to type display of flex. Let's also set the height of this icon, so let's tap height of 20 pixels. And now I think it looks alright. Now let's go ahead and style this answer. So let's go back over here to the HTML file, and for the answer we have this division with the class of answer. So let's go ahead and target that. I'll just tap FAQ container answer, and here also we will set the display to flex so that the icon is on the left side and the answer on the right side. And now just like the question, we don't have the icon displayed over here, so we need to add the width to the icon. Now for the answer we have this icon with the class of answer icon. So here let's tap FAQ container answer icon, and let's set the width to 20 pixels. Now here we can see for some of the answers we have lesser width, and for some answers we have a higher width. So for that let's go back, and here for the icon let's set the flex shrink to 0 so that it doesn't shrink. And now we can see all the icons have the correct width. And let's add the same CSS to this question icon as well. Now while we are here, let's also go ahead and style this icon. So for the icon, let's set the color to blue, and let's set the display to flex. And now we can see that these icons are centered vertically. So here for this answer division, let's type align items, and let's set it to flex start. And now let's add a little bit of margin top. So here for the icon, let's type margin top, and let's set it to 5 pixels. And that looks alright. Now let's go back over here, and let's add a gap. So let's type gap, and let's set the gap to 8 pixels. Now for each of the answers, let's also add some margin. So here let's type margin, and let's set it to 8 pixels top and bottom, and 0 for left and right. Right now we need to have some padding on the left side of this answer. So for that we have this division with the class of answer container. So let's target that. I just type FAQ container answer container, and let's set a padding of 0 top and bottom and 32 pixels left and right. And let's add a background color, and let's set it to EDF2F4. And I think we also need to add some margin top and bottom, so let's go ahead and change this to 8 pixels top and bottom and 32 for left and right. Now there are two states in our question. The first one is this non-expanded state, and when we click on this we have this expanded state. So we need to have two different stylings for this. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a class called expanded to this question container, and when we have the expanded class we will display the answer and also change the color of this icon, and we'll also need to rotate it. So what we'll do is here in this FAQ accordion, for the first one we will set it to expanded, and for the second one we'll just set it to non-expanded just for testing. So let's go back over here, and let's go to the HTML file, and here for the first question let's also add a class called expanded. Right now let's go back over here to style.css file, and for the question icon we need to make some changes. So here let's tap FAQ container, and then we need to type question container, and here we need to type dot expanded, and then we need to type question icon. Now what this will do is if we have the expanded class added to the question container, Then it will add the following styles to the question icon. So here we need to change the background color. So let's tap background. And let's set the color to 2A9D8F. And we'll also set the color of the icon to white. And we also need to rotate it. So let's tap transform, rotate Z, and let's set the angle to 180 degrees. And now we can see that we have a different styling for the expanded question. Now when the question is not expanded, we need to have a different styling. So we don't need to display these answers. So let's go back. And here for the answer container, let's go ahead and add a max height. So just a max height, and let's set it to 0. And we'll also add overflow of hidden so that anything outside the division is not being displayed. And now we can see that the answers are not being displayed. But because of the padding, we have this space displayed over here. So let's go ahead and change the padding back to 0. And when we display the answers, we will add the padding. Right now here for the expanded question, we need to display the answer. So let's tap FAQ container, question container dot expanded, and in that we have the answer container. And here we need to add a max height, and let's set it to, let's try fit content. We'll also add a padding of 8 pixels top and bottom and 32 pixels left and right. And I think for this text, we need to have a larger font weight. So let's go back to Google Fonts and let's go back to the Inter font. And I think we need to select this regular version as well. So let's click on select regular 400. And now let's copy this import from here. And let's go back and let's paste it over here. And now we have 300, 400, and 700. And now I think it looks alright. Right, so with that we have completed designing this FAQ accordion. Now this is our source code, and if we go to the HTML file, here we can see that we are adding this class called expanded. And when we have this expanded class, we are displaying the answer. So if I just remove this expanded class from here, now we can see that the answer is not being displayed. So we need to add and remove the expanded class using JavaScript. But before that, let me just go ahead and add a border at the bottom of the question. So here we can see that we have these borders separating all the questions. So let's go back to our CSS file and let's target the question container. So here we can see we have this division with the class of question container. So we need to add a border bottom for this. So let's search for question container, and I think we need to add the selector. So here I'll just type FAQ container, question container, and here I'll just type border bottom, and let's set it to 1 pixel solid and gray color. And now we can see we have this border. Now let's go ahead and start adding the functionality. Now the first thing we will do is we will add the questions over here from a JavaScript array. So if you go back to the HTML file, here we can see that we have hard-coded all these questions and answers over here. Now if you want to add some question or answers, it will be very difficult for you to do that because of all this markup over here. We have all these divisions and classes and all those things. So what we're going to do is we're going to get all this content from here, and we're going to add them to a JavaScript array, and we're going to generate this HTML from the JavaScript code. So for that, let's go to the main.js file, and we'll create an array, and I'll just call it FAQ data. And let's create an array, and in the array we will have objects for each of the content. So let's create an object, and in the object we need to have the question. So here we can see first we have this question. So here we need to type question, and here we need to add the question. So you can just copy the question from here and just paste it over here. So this is the question, and then we need to add the answers. So let's type answer, and the answer should be an array because there are multiple answers. So let's create an array for this, and in this we will add the answers. So you can just go ahead and copy this answer from here, and we'll just add double quotes and paste it over here. And we need to do the same for the other answers as well. So let's go ahead and add a comma, and let's add the other answer. So let's go back over here and let's copy this answer from here, and let's paste it over here. And then lastly we need to have one more answer, I think. So we have one more answer division. So I'll just go ahead and copy this, and I'll just paste it as the third answer. So this is basically our object, and in this way we need to create the objects for all the questions and answers. So I'll just quickly go ahead and copy and paste my data over here. Alright, so I have copied and pasted all these questions and answers over here. Now let's go ahead and generate the HTML and add it to our web page. So for that we'll create a function called display FAQ. So just type display FAQ, and let's create the function over here. So I'll just type const display FAQ, and in this function we will write the code to generate the HTML and add it to our design. Alright, now let's go to our HTML file, and I'll just delete the second question. So this is the second question. So I'll just go ahead and delete this, and we just need to have the structure of our HTML. So we'll also delete the answers. So I'll just delete two of the answers. We'll just keep one of them. So let's go ahead and select the second and third answers, and let's delete them. Right, so here we can see we have this question and we have the answer. So this is our HTML structure. Now let's go ahead and create the same structure, and let's add it in our JavaScript file. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy the HTML from here, which is a question container, and till the end. So right here. So let's copy all this HTML and let's add it to our JavaScript file. So let's go back over here, and let's create a for each loop to loop through all these FAQ data. So I'll just type FAQ data dot for each, and for each of the data I'll just call it Q, and let's create an arrow function, and here let's create a const and let's name it HTML, and let's add backticks, and let's add the HTML over here. So I'll just paste the HTML right here. Now if we take a look at this, we can see that we have an array for the answer. So what we need to do is we need to loop through the answer as well. So I'll just create the answer as a separate code. So I'll just go ahead and cut this HTML inside the answer container. So I'll just cut this from here, and let's go ahead and create another constant. So let's create a const, and I'll just call it answer HTML, and here we need to loop through all the answers. So let's type Q dot answer, and we will use the map method. So I'll just type map, and for each of the answers I'll just call it A, and we'll just return a div. So I'll just add backticks, and here I'll just paste the HTML, and now we need to replace the necessary content with the variable. So if you scroll down here, we can see that we have the answer. So let's delete this answer from here, and let's type $symbol curly braces, and here we need to simply type A because we are calling it A over here. Now this will also generate some extra characters, so we need to type dot join and blank. Now this will give us the correct HTML. So what this will do is it will store the HTML of all the answers inside this answer HTML. And now we can simply add this answer HTML to this HTML right here. So here inside this answer container division, let's type $symbol curly braces, and let's type answer HTML. Alright, now let's go ahead and replace the necessary data over here. So we need to replace this question. So let's cut this from here, and let's type $symbol curly braces. And for each of the questions we are calling it Q, and in the object we have this question. So let's type Q dot question. Right now what we need to do is we need to add this to this FAQ container. So let's go back to our main.js file, and let's reference the FAQ container. So let's type const FAQ container equals document.querySelector, and we have a division with the class of FAQ container, and in this we need to add the division with the class of question container. Now here we can see that we have already added this division in the HTML. So I'll just cut this from here, and we'll create this division and we will add it to the FAQ container. So I'll just cut this line of code from here. And let's scroll down, and here we are starting with this division, and we have a span, and then the division ends right here. And then we have this division right here with the class of answer container, and it ends right here. So we need to remove this ending div from here. Right now, let's go ahead and create the division with a class of question container. So let's type const question container equals document.createElement, and let's create a div. And we need to add a class of question container. So let's type question container.classlist.add question container. And now let's go ahead and add this HTML to the question container. So I'll just type question container.innerHTML equals HTML. Right now we need to add this question container to the FAQ container, which we are referencing right here. So let's type FAQ container dot append child, and let's type question container. And now if we go back to our design, here we can see that all the questions are displayed over here. We also have this extra question. That's because we had not removed the question from here. So let's go ahead and remove this HTML from here. And now we can see that we have all the questions displayed over here. Right now, the next thing we need to do is we need to add an event listener to the question. So when we click on the question, we need to add a class called expanded to the question container so that the answers are displayed. So let's go back and let's go to the JavaScript file. And here we need to reference the question. So for the question, we have this division with the class of question. So here let's type const question, and here we need to type question container dot query selector, and here we need to type question. Now what this will do is it will select the question from the current question container division. Now if you type document over here instead of question container, then it will just select the first question from the whole FAQ container. But right now it just selects the question from the current question container, and we need to add event listener to that. So here let's type question dot add event listener, and let's listen for the click event, and let's create an arrow function. And we need to add and remove the expanded class to the question container. So let's type question container dot classlist dot toggle, and let's type expanded. So if it has the class, then it will remove it, and if it doesn't have the class, then it will just add it. Right now let's go ahead and save this, and let's go back to our design, and let's click on this question, and we have the answers displayed. And if I click on it again, the answer disappears, and it is working for all these questions. Now we also need to add smooth transition so that when we open the answer, it should smoothly animate to the expanded state. So for that, let's go back to the CSS, and here for the answer container, let's add transition, and I'll just set it to all 300 milliseconds ease. And now let's go back and let's see whether it works. So let's click on this question, and we can see that the transition is not working correctly. That's because we have this max height over here, and we have set it to fit content. Now this will not be animated from 0 to fit content. So if I just type, for example, 200 pixels, and now if you go ahead and click, now we can see that the animation is working correctly. So we need to go ahead and add the correct max height over here. So if we just change this to, let's say, 400. Now if you click on this, we can see that the animation is working in a different way because it is calculating this height of 400 pixels. Let's just change this to 2400 for seeing it clearly. So if I now click on this question, now we can see that it is adjusting the time to go to 2400 pixels in height. So that's why we are having this weird kind of animation. So what we're going to do is we're going to add and remove the correct max height using JavaScript. So here for now, I just add a max height that can be the highest of the answer container heights. So for now, I just type 500 pixels, and I think no answer container will go more than 500 pixels. Right now, let's go to our JavaScript file and let's add the exact height. So here, let's first of all select the answer container. So I'll just type const answer container equals question container dot query selector, and here we need to type answer container. Right now let's go ahead and create a constant for the height. So I'll just type const content height equals, and here we need to type answer container, and we can get the height by typing scroll height. So this will give us the height of the element, the answer container division. Right now we need to add this height to this answer container division, but before that we need to see whether the expanded class is added. So here I'll just type const is expanded equals, and let's type question container dot class list dot contains, and we need to see whether there is the expanded class. Right now let's go ahead and type answer container, and we need to set the max height, so let's type style dot max height equals, and we need to set it to this content height. So I'll just type backticks and let's type $symbol curly braces content height, and here we need to type pixels, and we need to add the height if we have the expanded class. So here let's add is expanded, and if it is expanded we'll just add a question mark, and we will add this content height, and if it is not expanded then we'll add a colon and let's type 0. So if it is not expanded then we will set the height back to 0. Right now let's go ahead and see whether this works. So let's click on this question, and we can see that the answer is being displayed, so everything is working alright. Let's click on this one and it is also working alright. Now when we have two of these questions expanded, we need to have the previous one collapsed by default. So when we click on this question and if we click on this second question, the third question should collapse. So let's see how to do that, and we also need to add the animation for this arrow right here. So let's add that first. So let's go to the style.css file, and let's go to the question icon. So here let's type transition, and let's set it to all 300 milliseconds is, and now the transition is working alright for the icon. Right now let's add the code to hide all the other questions when one of the questions is displayed. So let's go back and let's go to the JavaScript file, and here let's add an if condition, and let's type if, and here let's type question container dot class list dot contains, and let's see whether we have the expanded class, and we need to see whether the class is not there. So let's add an exclamation over here, and if you don't have this expanded class to this question container then we'll just go ahead and remove all the expanded classes. So I'll just create a function for that, and I'll just call it remove all expanded, and let's create the function over here at the top. So here let's go ahead and type const remove all expanded, and here first we need to select all the question container classes. So I'll just type const, and I'll just name it question containers equals document.querySelector all, and here let's type FAQ container question container. Right now let's go ahead and loop through all these question containers. So I'll just type question containers dot for each, and for each of the questions I'll just call it q, and here let's type q dot class list dot remove, and let's type expanded, and we also need to set the height of the answer container to 0. So let's select that. I'll just type const answer container equals q dot query selector, because we are calling it q over here, and let's type dot answer container, and here let's type answer container dot style dot max height equals, and let's type 0. Now this will go ahead and remove the expanded class from all the other question containers. So let's go back and let's test and see whether it works. So let's click on this first question, and we have the answer displayed over here. Let's click on the second question, and now we can see that the first question is not expanded anymore. So everything is working alright. So that's basically how you can create this FAQ accordion using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Right here I'm in the dashboard of my Blogger website, and let's add this design into a post. So let's go over here and click on new post, and here we can just add a title. I'll just type FAQ. Now here the first thing you need to do is you need to change this into HTML view. So by default it will be in the compose view. So click on HTML view. Now here you can add the HTML, CSS and JavaScript code. First of all, I'll just add the CSS. So I'll just create a style tag over here. And in this style tag we will add the CSS. So let's go back to our source code. And let's go to the style or CSS file and let's copy all this CSS from here. And let's go back and let's paste it over here inside this style tag. And the next thing we need to do is add the HTML. So let's make some space over here and let's go back to our source code. And let's go to the HTML file and let's copy this HTML from here. So let's copy from this line of code till here. And let's copy this and paste it over here. And then lastly we need to add the JavaScript. So let's go ahead and create a script tag for that. So I'll just tap script. And let's close the tag over here. Right now let's go back to our source code and let's go to the main.js file and let's copy all this JavaScript from here and let's paste it inside the script tag. Now if you go back to our source code, here we can see that we have all the data. So if you want to change the data of this FAQ, you can go ahead and do that over here. So here we have the question and here we have the answers. So these answers are basically an array, so you can separate all these answers with a comma. And then we have the next question and then we have the next question over here. So in this way you can add as many questions as you need. And if you want to delete any of these questions, you can just delete this object from here. And here down in the JavaScript, we are writing the code to display the HTML inside our design. So here we are creating the HTML and displaying it in our website. And if you go to our index.html file, here we have the h2. So this is the heading that you see over here. So if you want to change this, you can do that over here. Right, once you have done all of that, you can just go ahead and click on publish. And let's click on confirm. And here we can see our post has been published. Now let's click on view and let's see whether it is being displayed correctly. And here we can see our post is being displayed and we have the FAQ accordion displayed correctly. Let's click on one of these questions. And the JavaScript also is working alright. So that's basically how you can add an FAQ accordion to your Blogger website. Right, here I'm in my WordPress dashboard and for running this WordPress website locally, I'm using a software called Local by Flywheel. So you can just download this for free. You can just search for Local by Flywheel and download this software. And once you do that, you can just create a new site by clicking on add local site and follow the instructions. And after that, just go ahead and start the site and log into your WordPress dashboard. So here I'm in my WordPress dashboard and let's go ahead and create a new post and we will add this FAQ inside a new post. So let's go over here to posts and let's click on add new. Now this is the new Gutenberg editor in WordPress and it has made it easy for us to add custom HTML and CSS and even JavaScript to your posts. So here for the title, I'll just type frequently asked questions. And now here you can go ahead and add new blocks. So you can just click on this plus icon and add any of these blocks over here. You can browse for all the blocks over here. And you can add any of these right here. Now here I'll just add a paragraph, so you can just directly type over here. So I'll just type, these are some frequently asked questions. If you have more questions, just contact us. Right, now let's go ahead and add this FAQ accordion. So for that, let's go to a new block. So here we have this option to create a new block. And here you have to click on this plus icon. And here we have to select custom HTML. So you can also search it over here. So I'll just type custom HTML. And here we can see custom HTML. So you can just click on this block. And now here we can see it says write HTML. So here you can add the HTML code. Now you can also add the CSS and JavaScript codes inside the style and script tags. So first of all, I'll just add the CSS. I'll just create a style tag over here. And let's go to our source code. And I will leave the link of the source code in the description of this video. So let's go to the style or CSS file and let's copy all this CSS from here. And let's go back and let's paste it over here inside this style tag. But now let's go ahead and copy the HTML. So Let's go back and let's go to the HTML file, and let's copy this HTML from here and let's paste it right here. And then lastly we will add the JavaScript. So here I'll just remove this source from here, and here in this script tag we will add the JavaScript. So let's go to the main.js file and let's copy all this JavaScript from here and let's paste it inside the script tag. Now if you go back to this code, here we can see that all the questions and answers are displayed over here. So you can go ahead and change them over here. You can just change the questions over here and you can add the answers over here. If you want to add a new answer, you can just add a new string with double quotes after this comma. And if you want to create a new question, you can just create a new object like this. And in the same way you can also delete it. And if you go to the HTML file, here we have this heading. So this is the heading that we see over here. So you can just change the heading to whatever you want. Or once you have done all of that, you can just go ahead and click on publish. So let's click on publish, and here also we'll click on publish. And here we can see that our post has been published. So let's click on view post. And here we can see that our FAQ accordion is being displayed, and we also have the paragraph displayed over here. Now let's see whether everything is working alright. So let's click on one of these questions, and here we can see that the answers are displayed. So the animation and everything is working alright. So that's basically how you can add a custom FAQ accordion to your WordPress website. Alright, so that's basically it for this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest video updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.